Well, I asked Valentin who he thought would be a good match for me in Bulgaria, and he says Plamen, which is their top guy at 176. You know what I mean? Like that's their top guy. He felt me. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like I am. I feel like there's plenty of guys competitive with me. I mean, I did call out the whole 80-kilogram class because I want somebody to step up. I don't feel like there's anybody confident enough to put up their own money against me.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that. We on our last show or on our second segment, we Herman and I both agreed that we believe no one was going to come forward. Have you gotten any inquiries via private messaging? Has anyone contacted you privately?
No, I mean, I had one message asking me to pull some round robin and,
No.
and then somebody saying that there was a person willing to put up 1,000, but I'm having to fly 3,000 miles to go do it, and put up my own money. And
Yeah.
I fly there to, if I win, break even.
Yeah.
Like,
You don't.
I could care less about that. Like, I'm not trying to spend money for that, to pull one guy, like if I'm going to go over there, I want to at least have a chance to make money. I don't have to get paid. I don't have to have guaranteed money. I want to have at least a chance to make some money. So I got other stuff I'm responsible for. I don't want to spend $1,000 to go arm wrestle one guy. I ain't got that much to prove. So I just
who was the proposed match that you'd have to travel to?
It was potentially Luke.
Ooh.
But even then, I didn't get the sense that he really wanted it, to be honest with you. I mean, it was kind of like a general conversation, and I told him it just wasn't enough money, that I would put up 1,500 or 2,000 to do it. I mean, 1,000 isn't the max. You know what I mean? I'm willing to go. Like, I would have went out there for $2,000. You know what I mean? That way, I can pay for my room, my flight, and I can eat, and I can still come home with $1,000 in my pocket.
Yeah,
if I just want to go on, I'll go pull a trophy and drive to it.
Money should be an issue. I mean, Luke's got connections.
I mean, to an extent, there was a guy that was willing to put up 1,000, but like I said, 1,000 to the winner. But it pays for my flight. I mean, we also have something else kind of planned that is something potentially better. So we probably won't do that until after September, if we do.
Can you think about it?
Do what?
Any more details on that?
No, not really. I mean, I don't really have anything for sure. I mean, I can't say until I know 100%.
It's not a Tim Lewis Supermatch rematch, is it?
I never pulled him in a Supermatch. You did.
I thought you pulled him in a Supermatch, or it was just a regular match.
No, I just pulled him at Nationals.
Okay.
No,
I've never heard of the Tim Lewis Supermatch rumor.
What's that?
What?
I'd never heard of the Tim Lewis Supermatch rumor.
No, I pulled him in Nationals in 2016, I think.
Yeah.
Did you win?
Yeah.
I recall you taking his hand, and then him, of course, murmuring that, well, you took my hand, and then you went back into a hook, let him set, and you still ripped through him. I recall that happening. I don't know. That's my recollection anyway.
Yeah, he said, thanks for letting me get into my power. Yeah. It was one of those, he wanted to see where he was at if he went in there. I mean, it didn't matter where it went.
No.
I was left-handed too, left and right.
Yeah.
We did the same thing. But he's an all right guy, I guess. But anyway, to the European thing, I mean, I know we've talked about multiple subjects at this point, but, I truly believe that there is the elites in every country, and we're competitive with them. And then there's the average guys in those countries too. I mean, these guys ain't superhuman. There's some of them that are. I mean, these guys they bleed just like we do. I mean, they're training, and they take training a little bit differently to an extent. But I mean, I can't imagine one of them training any harder than I am right now.
No, not you, Doug. But you're part of the 3%, right? You're not the norm.
But I feel like every country is that, though. I feel like every country they've got their 3%.
Yeah.
They've got their elite guys that are, they dominate each weight class. You go to a tournament and there's 4 or 5 guys that can actually potentially maybe win that tournament in their country.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the same here though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I just feel like, Justin went over to Moldova and, he pretty much fouled out almost all his losses, I think, besides like one. And, when it does come to their elbow fouls and stuff, they are a little bit more disciplined in that because we're not as stringent here on our rules and elbow fouls as, some of their tournaments are. They're bigger events, at least.
Let me ask you this, Doug. In the States, if guys don't go to big events and claim, a certain status, right, they will, or they're potentially, not given the same respect because they're not actually going out and doing it. Is that fair enough? So if our guys aren't actually going out on the world stage, how can we simply claim that we are as good as the European countries?
Well, how can they say that either? Though they're not doing it here either. We're not really seeing it. We've seen a small sample size, really. Me, Justin, besides actually prior to recent, a handful of guys that have gone, you've got guys like Sam that could probably really make 165. He could probably make 154. Depending on how he's training and eating. I think he would do very well over there. It's tough to say because we haven't pulled there that much, and they haven't come here very much.
So Doug, what opportunities do they really have to come here? The UAL stuff is shut down. WAL is a limited, closed league. They intentionally do not let the world's best in the league.
There's one Arnold's here every year. There's one Zloty there every year. Arnold's is pretty big. A lot of guys, Trubin's came. Denis has came. We've had some pretty big names come. Their lightweights don't come. We had,
correct.
Who was that guy that got hung up with Crazy George a few years ago and had a 10-minute match?
Arden.
Yeah. So timely. Yeah. See, it's such a small sample size on both. It's all just really, truly assumptions from this point, But I think Rob will get over there very well.
So let me ask you this. Although they haven't come here, I would say that if we're looking at Arnold's doesn't necessarily have the weight to draw people in as a Zloty does.
Zloty pays 10 times more for first place than Arnold. So when you go over there, you can gain. For them to come here, it's just a vacation. Even if they win, there's no way everything's being paid. They're still losing money.
Not 10 times more. I'm not sure what the payout.
I think the money. I think the money is not even an issue because neither one pays a ton. But what I'm saying is that at Zloty, the people that you would beat in the United States don't have nearly the credentials as the people you would potentially face at Zloty. Because let's say a guy from Kazakhstan, he comes here, he gets to face Americans. An American that goes to Zloty gets to essentially face the world. So I think it's hard to set the expectation that they would come here when we are really not the hub, so to speak.
No.
Right, and that's the reason why Zloty in itself is so hard because there's so many elites from every country, and just like WAF is tough too. There's elite arm wrestlers from every country, but in any particular country, a local or even country level event in that particular country is going to have a handful of guys who can win, and then a bunch of average guys who would not beat our elite pool here. Those guys are. I've talked to Aaron Blevins a lot, who trained when he was living in England with a lot of guys from them other countries, and he knows the difference on the level of training that they do. But there's also a bunch of average arm wrestlers, just like there is elite here, I
agree. They're not all monsters. That's for sure. That's fair.
There's a handful of guys that Devin goes and loses to Denis. All right. So right now we know there's one monster in the world that he can't beat. Not right now. So that's one though. Who else? It's so small. So, you know, I saw people online commenting from other countries like Devin sucks and all this stuff now, like because he loses one freaking guy who's probably unbeatable left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's just okay. There, he's that one guy that can beat him. All right, let's say there's maybe 5. I mean, that doesn't mean that the U.S. or North America, him being in Canada, is any less than, you know, these other countries. Though there's one guy from maybe a handful of countries that can beat the top level guys here. Dave, I don't see very many people beating Dave.
Yeah,
there's like 1 or 2 guys beating Dave.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if I made a world rankings overall, I can make a strong argument that Dave Chafee's number 1, right-handed. You know, so he might be the gold standard. Denis right-handed coming up the back end, but Denis is left dominant. Denis destroyed Devin left-handed, not right-handed. I believe his right's a little bit weaker than his left. So Dave is still the gold standard, I think.